In this video, I'm going to talk about how to deal with other people's unreasonable requests, so stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, I make videos about valuable information that comes up in my past life regression sessions. If any of these topics are of interest to you, please hit the red subscribe button down below to subscribe to this channel. And if you've been here before, welcome back. This is my friend Jason, and Jason is also a client. So Jason, during your session, what was the one thing that came up that we actually talked, a great deal about?
In my life, certain people sometimes ask me, oh, when you say that word, that's a terrible word. Mm-hmm. Or, that really triggers me when you say that word.
So what they're saying is they're basically telling Jason, stop using that word because I get triggered. So they're asking him, they're making a request. Mm-hmm. And you wanted to know, is that reasonable? Like, are you being unreasonable or are they being unreasonable? So it was funny because I thought about it and I thought, well, let's put some common sense to the test, right? Let's.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's really hard for me to remember things. And so you said.
That's right. So here's what I said. I literally walked the problem and I thought to myself, well, let's think about it. Is it really reasonable? So I thought, okay, well, let's say, like I say to you, I don't want you to use a certain word. Mm-hmm. And you forget, and then you use it, and then I get mad at you, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you don't want me to be mad. No. But at the same time, you can't remember. It's not your responsibility to remember what triggers me, right? So here's what I said to Jason. I said, well, imagine this. Imagine if a whole bunch of people asked you to do this. What would you have to do? Well, you would have to literally carry around a pad with you. So here's a pad, right? So you would have to carry around a pad. So now, because there's like more than two people, where you have to keep track, so now you might say, okay, well, Maria does not like the word whatever.
Terrible.
Then, his other friend, Jane, doesn't like the word, doesn't like the mention of LA or Beverly Hills, right? It triggers her, okay? So we put that down. And then we go through, maybe his mom doesn't like a certain thing, so he writes that down. Then the dad also has a request. He doesn't like him to mention something, so he writes that down. Then what happens is, at the end of the day, let's say, in a week from now, when you see people, I said to Jason, imagine you now have to carry around your pad and you see someone, you literally have to be like, oh, okay, that's Jane. Hold on a second, let me see. Oh yeah, that's right. Jane doesn't like to talk about LA or Beverly Hills. Okay, I better not talk about that.
I'm not carrying that around.
Exactly. No one should. And so when people make a request and tell you, don't say certain things because I don't like it, basically what they're telling you is, they're telling you something that is really not, it's not doable. It's not fair to be asking that question because the bottom line is we have free will, and the best thing is if something triggers you, you need to deal with it. That's your stuff, not my stuff, right? Mm. So like if I made a request to you and I said, Jason, please don't use the word, let's use something real in my life. What if I said to you, don't use the word cancer? Mm. Because it stresses me out, right? That sounds like a legitimate request, but is it really a legitimate request? And the answer is no, it is not. Because what happens is it puts all the pressure on you to have to remember.
But what if you were really hurt by cancer?
Well, that's my problem, isn't it? Now I have to do the inner work. So that's the thing. If you're getting triggered by what someone else is saying, you need to sit back and do the work and figure out why you're getting triggered. This is very, very important, right?
But it seems reasonable that someone would be able to make the request. Don't use the word cancer.
Of course it does. However, one request leads to another request. Next thing you know, you've got 100 requests, and now you're carrying around a pad and you're trying to remember. Before you even talk to anybody, you're like, oh my God, like what is it that they don't want me to say?
And I don't want you to talk about cats because I had a very bad experience when I was young with the cat.
So could you imagine that? Like imagine living through life, and then
And
the
then
panic.
I think I might have some other words.
Right. It doesn't end. And
No.
the bottom line is, it makes me feel like I'm now restricted in my speech. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Just that this was really helpful. I would have thought, you know, it's okay for someone to ask me not to say something, or me to ask them not to say something. That was just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But that is so confusing, and then there's so much, and
You can't remember
it hurts
it.
my head,
You
and
can't
then
remember it.
you break that. I don't know if it's sort of like an unspoken promise,
Right.
and friendships or relationships crumble
Right. Right. For nothing.
for nothing.
For nothing, because it's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you got a lot out of this, and thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see more of you later. I want you to know that I make these videos because I want you to remember who you truly are. You are a spirit being having a human experience. You come from a place of unconditional love. You are perfect in every way. You just don't remember it sometimes. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up so I know to record more videos like this. Thank you.